We all know the scene. End of Toy Story 3. Andy pulls up to that little house, sits in the grass, and plays with his toys one last time before driving off to college. So long, partner. And every single one of us turned into a puddle on the floor. But here's something I keep coming back to. For one tiny second right before he handed Woody over, Andy hesitated. He almost kept him. You can see it. And that little hesitation got me thinking about something darker. Because Woody's greatest fear was never being lost. It was never even being thrown away. Woody's real fear, the one that drives everything he does, is hurting the kid he loves. Every choice he makes across every movie comes down to one thing: keep Andy happy. So ask yourself this: what happens to Woody if one day, just being around Andy is the thing that hurts him? What if his presence becomes the problem? Because that's the universe I want to take you into today. The one where Andy doesn't hand that box to Bonnie. The one where he can't let go and brings every single toy with him to college instead. And look, I know what some of you are thinking about Bonnie, so let me say this carefully. Bonnie might be a perfectly sweet kid, but Woody's story began with Andy, and if you ask me, it should have ended with Andy. That handoff always felt like it belonged to someone else's movie. So today I'm showing you the dark alternative Disney never dared to put on screen. The crack point picks up right at the end of the third film because, full disclosure, the fourth one lost me completely. So as far as I'm concerned, this is where the real story continues. Andy keeps them, and what comes next is the most haunting version of Toy Story you've never seen. Quick thing before we dive in. If you grew up with these movies and the idea of a darker, more grown-up Toy Story makes the hair on your arms stand up a little, hit subscribe. This channel lives for exactly this. And drop me a comment. Who's your favorite Toy Story character of all time? I'm genuinely curious who's watching. Okay, let's go to college. So picture it, move-in day. Andy carries the box up to his dorm room himself, and the first thing you notice is how wrong everything looks. Toy Story has always been a warm movie. That sunny yellow in Andy's old room, the cloud wallpaper, that feeling of safety. But this dorm, flickering fluorescent lights, gray cinder block walls, a window that looks out at a parking lot, it's cramped, it's cold, and it's full of strangers. Andy sets Woody and Buzz up on the bed, just like the old days, and for about a week, it actually feels okay. Andy smiles at them sometimes when nobody's looking, but that warmth is a lie, and Woody, sitting on that shelf, can already feel it. Because here's what happens by the second week. Andy's roommate notices the toys. Then the guys down the hall notice, and the comments start. Bro, you still sleep with toys? Little jokes at first, then not so little. And one night, after a study session goes bad, Andy quietly takes the toys off the bed and puts them in a drawer, closes it. And I need to slow down right here, because the movies never showed us what the inside of that moment feels like. The first hour in that drawer is pure silence, total darkness. Nobody speaks. You can hear Rex breathing in that panicky little way he does, and somewhere near the back, Slinky's spring settles with this sad metal sigh. They're all just lying there, staring at nothing, trying to talk themselves into believing this is temporary. And then the sound starts. A small, fast, terrified breathing. It's Jessie. Because for everyone else, this drawer is a bad night. For Jessie, this is the nightmare she never stopped having. She was loved once, completely, and then a girl named Emily put her in a box, and the box went dark, and the years just passed. Being shut in the dark isn't a memory for Jessie. It's a wound with a trigger, and that drawer just pulled it. She starts scratching at the wood, gasping, and it's Buzz who crawls to her in the dark and holds her hand and talks her down, low and steady, the way you'd talk someone off a ledge. He tells her she's not alone this time. That's the difference. This time, nobody gets left. And Woody listens to all of it from the far corner of that drawer, and he finally understands the thing he's feared his entire existence. By being here, by being kept, he's hurting Andy. And now he's hurting his family too. Andy starts pulling away from people, eating alone, staying in, and every bit of it traces back to the toys he couldn't let go of. Imagine being Woody in that moment. You spent your whole life wanting nothing but this kid's happiness, and now you realize you're the reason he's miserable. That's a weight no toy was built to carry. Now here's where the story really opens up, because while Andy's in class, the toys start exploring. And what they find under that campus changes everything. Down in the ventilation shafts, in the forgotten basements beneath the dorms, there's a whole world nobody knew about. An entire society of toys, hundreds of them, all brought to college by students just like Andy, kids who couldn't let go of their childhood, and then quietly abandoned, shoved in storage, forgotten. But these aren't the cheerful toys from Andy's room. These are toys who've lost their innocence. Toys who learned the hard way that up here, there are no owners, just survivors. And leading them? This is the part that's gonna get the longtime fans. The leader of this resistance is Wheezy. Remember Wheezy? The little penguin with the broken squeaker from Toy Story 2? The one stuck up on the shelf who couldn't make a sound? Yeah, him. Except now, years later, Wheezy's voice came back rough and broken, and he's become this hardened, raspy-voiced leader of the underground. The toy who was once shelved and silenced is now the one giving every forgotten toy on campus a voice. And honestly, I think that's poetry. The toy who lost his voice became the one who speaks for everyone. I love that so much I can't even tell you. Wheezy's second-in-command is an old action man, missing his left arm, with the words left behind scrawled across him in marker by some student who thought it was funny. and next to him, an old Stretch Armstrong. You know, the rubber guy you're supposed to stretch. Except years of stressed-out students yanking on him have left him stiff, knotted, and unable to snap back, which gave him this bitter, sarcastic worldview. These three run the underground, and when Woody meets them, Wheezy tells him something cold and true. There's no playtime up here, cowboy. Only the ones who make it and the ones who don't. And for the first time in his life, Woody starts to wonder if bringing everyone here was a mistake he can't undo. And the thing about this underground world is how organized it is. Wheezy runs it like a man who learned the hard way that hope alone doesn't keep you in one piece. There are rules, there are lookout shifts, there's a whole system for scavenging batteries and glue and tape, the things that keep a damaged toy going. And there's a wall, way back in the deepest part of the basement, where they keep the ones who didn't make it. Toys too broken to repair, lined up with care, remembered. Woody stares at that wall for a long time, because every toy on it was once some kid's whole world, and every one of them ended up here, in the dark, under a building full of people who forgot them. That wall is the future Woody's terrified of, and right now, he's leading his entire family straight toward it. Let me pause for a real talk second, because this is where it hits me. The thing that makes this scary isn't a villain. There's no Lotso, no Sid twirling a mustache. The threat here is just time, growing up, being forgotten by someone who used to love you. And that's so much more real than any cartoon bad guy. That's the fear every single one of these toys actually lives with, and this story just turns the lights on it. If you've ever held on to something from your childhood you couldn't throw away, let me know in the comments, because I think this story's really about that. Okay, so there's one bright spot in all this darkness, and it's a good one. Andy meets a girl, and one day she comes by his room, and instead of making fun of the toys like everyone else, she lights up. She picks up Mr. Potato Head and goes, "Aw, I had one of these." And Mr. Potato Head, being Mr. Potato Head, gets so puffed up with pride that the second she sets him down, he sneaks a little wink over at Woody like, "You see that? She loves me." It's a tiny moment, but watch what it actually does, because Woody sees something in it that changes him. The girl's smile is warm, but it's pointed backward. She's not playing with Potato Head. She's remembering playing with one. And standing there on that shelf, Woody quietly understands a truth that's going to matter enormously later. To grown-ups, a toy is a memory, but a toy isn't built to be a memory. A toy is built to be some kids right now. Nostalgia is a lovely place to visit. It's a terrible place for a toy to live. Hold on to that thought. It comes back at the very end. But that seed almost doesn't get to grow. Because we're getting to the part I've been building toward, and it's the reason this whole universe exists. About a month into the semester, things come to a head. There's a group of bullies on Andy's floor, and the real danger of college isn't some sadistic little kid like Sid. It's careless, reckless older guys who just don't think. One night they shove into Andy's room while he's out, trash the place for fun, and in the chaos, they knock Rex and Slinky around, rough them up. And that's the line. That's the moment Woody stops being a scared toy in a drawer and becomes something else. He goes to Wheezy, and he says the thing that changes everything. We don't run anymore, we protect each other. And just like that, the Night Watch is born. Buzz takes over the tactical side, because of course he does. That's who Buzz is. The guy who steps up when there's a mission. He uses every bit of that Space Ranger instinct to build hidden passages through the air vents, rope bridges between dorm rooms, early warning systems made from string and bottle caps that rattle when someone's coming. He drills the toys. He assigns positions. The clumsy, forgotten toys of the underground slowly turn into something that actually moves like a unit. But here's the detail that breaks my heart a little, and I only caught it on my second pass through this story. Watch how hard Buzz works. Watch how he never stops moving, never stops planning, never lets a quiet moment land. Because Buzz loved Andy too, every bit as much as Woody did. He just grieves like a soldier. The mission isn't a distraction from the pain. The mission is where he hides it. And Woody knows, and says nothing, because some things between old friends don't need saying. Watching the two of them fall back into their rhythm, the planner and the heart, it's the most them thing in the world. Even here, even now. They're still the same two toys who learned to work together in a moving truck all those years ago. Some things don't break, no matter where you put them. Then comes the night everything explodes. The bullies decide the toys all over campus are a nuisance, and they plan a trash party. Round up every toy they can find and destroy them for fun. Minutes before it kicks off, Buzz uncovers something huge. The ringleader of these bullies? He had a favorite toy once too. And before you ask what a toy-hating bully's childhood toy is doing on a college campus, here's the detail that makes it land. He never packed it. His mom did, slipped it into his bag when he wasn't looking, the way moms do, hoping a piece of home would keep him company. And the day he found it, he was so embarrassed, he marched it straight down to the basement and threw it into the dark, which means his own childhood has been living in Wheezy's underground this whole time, waiting. And that changes Woody's entire plan, because Woody doesn't want revenge. Woody wants to remind them of something they forgot. So as the party starts, the whole operation kicks off. And I want you to see the picture here, because the contrast is everything. Upstairs, the bully's world. Flat fluorescent light, gray hallways, phone screens, noise. The most unmagical place on earth. And then the toys cut the power, and that gray world turns into something out of an old ghost story. Emergency lights glowing red at the ends of hallways. whispers threading through the vents, shadows that move wrong. Stretch Armstrong drops from a ceiling tile, hanging by his own knotted arms like something out of a nightmare, brushing the back of a bully's neck in the dark. Action Man throws the main breaker with his one good arm and holds it down while the building goes black floor by floor. The cold, careless, concrete world of these guys gets swallowed whole by a fairy tale. And there's a beautiful, quiet detail buried in this moment that longtime fans will feel in their chest. Woody is breaking the oldest rule toys have, the one he broke exactly once before, years ago, rising out of a sandbox to save a kid from a boy named Sid. Back then, he did it to protect one child. Tonight, he does it again, to protect an entire generation of forgotten childhoods. Same rule, same cowboy, bigger reason. And finally, the ringleader finds the toys, all gathered together. And right at the front, he sees it, his own childhood toy. He freezes. And then, in a moment of cruelty, he breaks it. But here's what he doesn't expect, because it's not just his old toy standing there. It's all of them, every bully's forgotten childhood toy. And behind them, more, toys from all over the city, drawn to this one place, standing silent and still in the dark, hundreds of them. An army of every childhood every one of these guys threw away, staring back at them. And these reckless, hardened college kids come face to face with the children they used to be. One of them starts to cry, then they all just stop. And from that night on, nobody touches a toy on that campus again. The toys become the most protected thing in the whole place. Peace. Real peace. Finally. But here's the gut punch. And it's the whole reason I wanted to tell you this story. Because peace on campus doesn't mean Woody got what he wanted. Because Woody finally sees it. In all that chaos, in all that fighting to survive, he watches Andy through the window one night, laughing with that girl, surrounded by new friends, standing on his own 2 feet. Andy doesn't need the toys on his bed anymore to feel safe. He grew up. He made it. And Woody remembers the girl holding Potato Head, smiling at yesterday. And he finally understands. Staying here means becoming somebody's memory. And holding on to Andy was never love, it was fear. Real love, the kind Woody always claimed to have, means being brave enough to walk away when the kid doesn't need you anymore. So one quiet morning just before sunrise, the gang moves. And they don't just wander off into the world, because toys walking across an open campus is how you end up in a lost and found. Buzz scouted it days earlier. A donation truck parks behind the student center every week, loaded with boxes headed for shelters and daycares across town. Boxes full of things kids need. One by one, the whole crew slips inside. But Woody stops at the basement door first, because there's a goodbye he owes. Wheezy meets him in the dark, and the two of them just look at each other for a second. The shelf toy and the drawer toy, two survivors of the same quiet heartbreak. And Woody tips his hat and says, "Don't just survive down here, old friend. Start living." And Wheezy's rough little voice answers that somebody has to watch over this place. And that's what the underground becomes. Not refugees anymore, guardians. The secret protectors of every toy that ever gets left behind on that campus. I'm not crying, you're crying. And upstairs, a few hours later, morning light comes through a dorm window. Andy wakes up, reaches over, half asleep, and pulls open the drawer. Empty. And here's the moment I'd put against any scene in the actual movies. He doesn't panic. He doesn't tear the room apart. He sits there on the edge of the bed for a long moment, staring into that empty drawer. And then, slowly, this small, sad, understanding smile crosses his face. Because somewhere deep down, Andy knows. Not how, not where, just that it's right. The kid grew up enough to let go in his sleep, and the truck rolls out through the campus gates with the sunrise behind it, carrying a cowboy, a space ranger, a cowgirl who isn't afraid of boxes anymore, and a family headed toward kids who'll love them in the daylight. And honestly, that's the ending Toy Story was always building toward. Not a handoff to some character we barely knew, a choice. So let me bring back the thing I told you at the very start, because this whole story lives inside one sentence. Woody's greatest fear was never being thrown away. It was hurting the kid he loves. And in this universe, Woody stared that fear dead in the eye, and he beat it the only way it could ever be beaten. He chose to leave so Andy would never hurt again. The bravest thing that little cowboy ever did wasn't saving anyone. It was letting go first. So that's the story. The darkest, strangest, most grown-up Toy Story that never was. What do you think? Was Andy wrong to keep them? Would Woody have figured it out without all of that pain? And the big one. Who's your favorite Toy Story character? And which universe should I break next? Drop all of it in the comments because I read every single one, and you guys genuinely shape what I make next. If you made it this far, you're my favorite kind of viewer. Hit subscribe if you're new here, share this with a friend who still can't watch the end of Toy Story 3 without losing it, and take care of yourselves out there. And remember, sometimes the people who love us most aren't the ones who hold on the tightest. They're the ones brave enough to let us go.